Are you, Jared, like me, a longtime listener of the Josh Hammer? Jesus Christ, the Josh Hammer,
slap yourself, dude. When you mess up, you slap yourself, and then it's fine. Just a couple good smacks should do it.
One of the hardest ass names in all of politics, the Josh Hammer Show, hosted by Josh Hammer on Newsweek, a publication where I really cut my teeth, or whatever phrase you want to put there, writing about the radical right back in the day in 2017.
Yeah, before they got raided.
Before they got raided. We should do another episode. Honestly, we should do an episode about what happened in Newsweek, like sometime, for maybe even a premium episode, because it is really, really insane.
It is so crazy.
Fucking crazy.
It is like, if you go back and like really read the in-depth reporting explaining like why the feds showed up at Newsweek, and then like all the crazy shit that happened with ownership like after that point, it is so nuts.
Well, I'm used to, as an investigative reporter, people leaking things to me and whatever from the height of my investigative reporting days at different publications. But that was the one instance in which I was leaking things, because I was there and reporters, I was going on background or going off the record and saying like, I'll give you something that's going on here, because when the Manhattan DA's office, that was like one of many, I think, law enforcement agencies were looking into Newsweek, came to the Newsweek offices, it is yours truly who actually found them there. And I was the one time I was there early. I think I didn't sleep right, and I just came in the morning, and I just walked in. I was like, saw a bunch of guys in blue jackets with yellow writing, like just looking through things. And I was like, I walk over, and there's a couple other reporters looking beleaguered and trying to get some coffee to get going, like hungover from the night before. And I was like, guys, there's a bunch of law enforcement here, and they're like, well, you're a journalist, ask them what they're doing here. And I was like, me? Why don't you do? And I was like, shit. And I was like, hey guys, like, who are you with? Sorry, excuse me, who are you with? And they're like, DA's office. And I was like, I just walked by, like, they're with the DA's office. And it was like one of those things where it's like, in a comedy where people are like not really quite, like, what's happening is not quite seeping in just yet. And all of a sudden the other journalists are like, wait, fucking what? So yeah, that's how we start. So anyway, the long and short of it is, Newsweek, that triggered a long, insane decline and period of craziness in Newsweek, which eventually led to Josh Hammer taking the reins of their opinion pages. We'll talk about that in a second. I just want to talk about the fact that Josh Hammer is a right-wing guy who runs a podcast through Newsweek, and he did an episode that caught my attention because it was called "Is the Woke Era Over?" And that's something I think we've wanted to talk about. It's a subject that we're kind of framing around different things. So I was like, I wanted to hear what the right is actually saying about it.
So Mike and I tuned in because we want to know. I mean, we've discussed with each other, it's like, what is the post-woke era, right? And it seems like even the right is on this journey to try to define it. Woke, the problem for them is that like woke just became a catch-all, the way they would use it almost like a slur of like, that's woke, that's woke, that's woke. And I just remember all these clips during the peak of that stuff where conservative personalities would sit down with a serious organization that would try to get them to explain what was woke, what's not woke. And so many of them would just crumble, like first question out the gate, falling apart. So we tuned in, and he opens up the show. I mean, he's just going through some news topics, but then he talks about Trump's appearance at a Washington Commanders game where he was booed a lot. And that made a bunch of headlines. And this anti-woke crusader, we're curious what he thought about that.
In other Trump-related news, Trump actually attended the Detroit Lions Washington Commanders game yesterday. By the way,
He actually attended it. I'm glad that Josh stressed that for us. He actually attended this football game.
I still call them the Washington Redskins. Personal aside.
Of course you fucking do.
Personal aside, it's been years. I still don't think of them as the Commanders. I personally hope that the Redskins name comes back, but we shall see. And the reaction to Trump attending the...
Explain that to one Native American person, Josh. Just, I'd love you to go up to one Native American person and be like, tell them why it's important to you. Not even a fucking fan of the team, right? He's like, I like it because of racism.
NFL game in Landover, Maryland yesterday was really quite mixed. One of the most appalling things was when he was booed when he was talking about new armed service members who have taken the oath of enlistment. Go ahead and watch this.
Please raise your right hands.
Just hook that to my veins.
Dude, those are some loud boos, man.
That fucking rocks.
And say your name. You solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Could you imagine booing the commander-in-chief?
Yes.
Come on. Yes. Of course I could.
Of course. Dude, he's running a fucking concentration camp, okay, called Alligator Alcatraz. All right. To start with, he's blowing up boats. All right. He's deporting people to countries they've never been to. He's wrecking the economy and like stealing a bunch of money and injecting the country with shit AI and crypto. Like, yeah, I can imagine why a lot of people who have a lot of needs right now are booing him.
Jesus, dude, it's pathetic, man. Can you imagine booing the most powerful person on the planet Earth, the commander of the world's largest army? Can you imagine telling that guy that he sucks?
When he is reading off the oath of enlistment for the men and women that have volunteered in the American volunteer military to defend your life and your liberty and your freedom, because that is the right and patriotic thing to do. Could you imagine?
Why don't you sign up for the army, Josh?
Well, I think what Josh is missing here is that he's right that people don't usually boo that, but the answer is they're not booing that.
Right.
They
right.
are booing the person who is delivering it. They're booing the guy who didn't serve in the military. They're booing the guy who
dodged the draft, actually.
Exactly. They're booing the guy who has just changed the name to the Department of War because he wants to play G.I. Joe with the military. They're booing that man. And you need to internalize that, Josh.
Yeah. This administration has no respect for the military. They keep going through and they're like, holding up pictures of all these leaders and being like, okay, well, if they're a girl, for sure they're out. And then they do the meme of like Peter Griffin getting pulled over and the cop whips out that card that has like the different skin shades on it.
Yes.
And it's just like at the bottom it says
yes.
woke and at the top it says patriot. And it's like wherever you fall on that, it's like.
Well, to your point, and I think this is important, one of the biggest stories around the military this year has been Pete Hegseth like renaming military bases after Confederate generals in order to get like Braxton Bragg's name back on the fucking base. These are the type of things that we're hearing. I mean, the type of military that they're honoring is the racist South, right? They're talking about people who plotted to destroy the United States of America. So yeah, people don't like the messenger. Sorry, Josh. I mean, I'm sorry. I know this is shocking for you because you really don't want to be. I think deep down, Josh doesn't want to be associated with Trump, right? But he is such a team player that he's right. He was a big DeSantis guy for people who don't know.
Yeah, I remember that.
And patriotic thing to do. Could you imagine the chutzpah, the vile cretin that would do such a thing? Is nothing sacred anymore?
Oh,
is there no?
No. Is nothing sacred? Didn't he just fucking knock down part of the White House to build a McDonald's or something? Like I mean, I just like this is the least sacred. This is the least sacred, the least like history focus. I mean, the only history they're again really focused on is the Confederacy. Is this like the least like dignified political regime in the history of our lives? I mean, as long as we've been alive, this is as disgusting as it could possibly get.
Dude, they're putting like home goods decorations all over the West Wing that are just like, my beautiful president.
The president lives here. Yeah. Can you imagine? Didn't he put a fucking picture of an auto pen for Joe Biden like on the wall outside?
Yeah.
This is like worse than the like decorations in my office. This is like the tackiest shit I've ever like you could possibly imagine. And then he's like, oh, can you imagine? There's nothing sacred at the football game. No less. You know what fucking hurts Josh more than anything? Jared, you lived in that area. I've been down that area a whole bunch.
Yeah.
These are not all DC liberals going to the Washington game, right? There's a lot of people from Maryland. There's a lot of people from the more conservative leaning or centrist leaning areas, the suburbs and things like that.
If you live in DC, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get out there.
Yeah, exactly. So and it's an NFL game. I mean, this is totally unscientific, right, on my part. But I would say that if we're ranking the 4 major sports in the U.S. around, well, I guess like soccer. Well, I had soccer. Soccer is like anarchist and DSA. And then the next one would probably be the NBA is like the most liberal scanning. Then MLB, a lot of the players are right wing or conservative Christian, but like there's too much data involved. They're mostly like Matt Iglesias libs. And then hockey is just pure nihilism and devil worship. So we just push that aside. And then the last one is the NFL, which is always traditionally the most reactionary one. That's the one that Rush Limbaugh wanted to get involved in. That's the one that all the conservatives, right? Those are the one where people grouse about a black quarterback not playing well. That's the right wing sport in the United States.
And like in the American mythology or the imagination, what am I looking for? The self-image of like a lot of Americans' minds, and certainly in the minds of people like Josh Hammer, the NFL, being that American football is like a sport that is mostly really only played here. It's supposed to be like emblematic of the American ideal. So if he shows up to a football game and people are like, absolutely fuck this guy, what's that say about what he's hitched his wagon to?
It says that everybody hates this shit. Everybody hates the shit that's going on, which is, to call back to the previous segment, makes the Democrats' performance even more disgraceful.